Libra, to your 2024 yearly reading. We have one card for each of the month for 2024, and so this is going to give you an idea of what you'll be dealing with throughout the year for each month. So for January, you have the Hierophant. For February, you have the Nine of Pentacles. For March, you have the Ten of Pentacles in reverse. For April, you have the Three of Wands. For May, you have the King of Swords. And for June, you have the Page of Cups. For the second half of the year, in July, you start off with the Devil in reverse. And then in August, you have the Nine of Wands. For September, you have the Fool. October, you have the Sun. In November, you have the Eight of Swords. And finally in December, you end with the beautiful card of the Star. So, in January, let's begin with the Hierophant card. You start off with an interesting card, actually, because the Hierophant is a major arcana card. It's the number 5, and 5 to me, well, 5 is usually about conflict, and the other thing that 5 is about is change, which a lot of people, you look at the conflict part and you go, I'm tired of conflict, but it's also about change. So there's something here that the Hierophant is bringing up for you. And the Hierophant here is this papal figure. And so this card does have a religious connotation to it, in that it represents, all those institutions that we could have been or were brought up with, including school, including religion, including, higher level education when we were, in our teens, where we started that. And so it's about really where we learned our societal rules, because this could be society as well in general, right? Because society has its norms, and so this is all about what we learned, was normal or acceptable behavior-wise, So I think in January you're starting to question some of these, and it could be religious. It could be, a religion that you were raised in, where you've sort of been indoctrinated in that particular set of rules. It could be, your education when you were younger. So this is a month where you're going to start to, the Hierophant comes up and says, start to really look at where you get your sense of, this right and wrong, or obedience sort of from, and start to ask yourself, is this really me? Are these the rules, quote unquote, that I want to live by in my life? And so that's January for you, where you start to question that. And then February brings us the Nine of Pentacles in reverse. And let's take a look at this card first of all in the upright position. The Nine of Pentacles, it shows a card of real abundance. You have this noble who has been putting a lot of time and commitment into this falcon that he's training. This is the sport of falconry that they played in medieval times, and it was considered a rich sport because only the rich could really spend all this time and money on training a falcon. And so I'm seeing that you're spending, or have been spending, a lot of time and commitment in a particular area of your life, whether that's a job, a project, maybe it's a relationship where you've put so much into something. And and maybe if it is a job, it's brought you abundance in the past, and so it's coming in reverse this month. And so I'm wondering maybe you're starting to look at, maybe it's, if it has been a job, maybe it's not bringing you the abundance you wanted it to, or it's just not, bringing you the sense of, I want to say, pleasure, or, maybe it's not as abundant as it used to be. And so there's something here coming up in February for you in regards to this area of your life that you have really put a lot of you into, your time, your energy, your commitment. It's just not working for you anymore, and you're starting to question that in February. In March, you get the 10 of Pentacles in reverse. And yeah, upright card, this is, it looks like it's a generational kind of thing where, the older man and his sons or daughters over here talking, and then their children here, the grandchildren. So it really is like a family generational card. And, this whole card can be looked at two different ways. It could be, it could be talking about generations, and it's pentacles. So it could be, maybe you're doing a job in your life, because it's come up in February here where you're kind of looking at it going, I'm not sure about this. So maybe you're doing a job that was handed down to you. That's a sort of a generational thing. It's a job that your entire family did all your life for for eons or years or decades, and it's just been something that you thought that as a younger person, that's what you were going to do when you grew up. I'm going to take on the business or work for my the farm or whatever it was that you are doing for your family. And that could be the first meaning of that. And the other meaning can be just that whole family feeling of, we think of the family as bringing us the support and the contentment and that family feeling. If you had that family support, what would it look like, or what would it feel like, if you did? And that's the other side of this card, right? This support, this validation, this feeling of love from your family. That's that side of it. And so we have it in reverse now. So I think what's happening here is, if it is, the card of with the job, the generational job that you're taking on and you're doing, you're now looking at this going, this isn't working for me anymore. You're really getting to a point where you're kind of stuck. You feel like you're stuck because this is a job that you were supposed to do, that you thought you were supposed to do, that you grew up as feeling, this is a job I took on. And it could be, that there is lots of abundance there, but it's not what I want to do. Or maybe you're not doing as well, and you're having a hard time thinking, well, what else could I do for myself, right? You're kind of stuck in this job. Or, or you just aren't feeling the other side to this card, is that you don't feel the validation, or you don't feel that whole family, happiness part of what you think you're supposed to be feeling in your family. So there's just that going on. So whatever your situation is, your job, your family, this is what's going on for you in March. It's just, you're feeling really blocked and stuck. In April, very interesting that this card has come up, because in April, this is the Three of Wands. And in reverse, and it's again, I'm not surprised that it's come in reverse, because the Three of Wands, the Wands, first of all, are all about creativity. The Wands are about going in the direction, taking a step into your purposeful life, if you want, and what you think you were meant to do here on this planet. And so you see that these branches are budding, these wands are budding, they're just, they're aching, they're itching to go somewhere. And the number 3 is all about creativity. So this really is, I think, you have been sort of planning something or thinking about something. And this is where you're ready to take the next step. But there is a real resistance to doing that. And I understand that, especially if this is a a job that you're leaving that's sort of generational, and you're meant to stay in this job. Or even if you are just in a job that you thought that you were meant to do or meant to have all your life, and this was, you thought it was your dream job, and now you're realizing, it's not. There's something else I want to do. And there's a real resistance to going there, for yourself. And the King of Swords comes up next. And the King of Swords is, there are two parts to us, two parts that we have in us that every single person has. And that's the masculine part, and it's also the feminine part, whether it doesn't matter what gender you are. And this is the masculine part. This is our ego, but it's a really grounded masculine part. And it's the swords. So the swords is all about our authenticity and getting to the truth of the matter. And so this king has come in for you because he wants you to get grounded into your body. And that would mean, start some journaling, get in touch with your intuition, and really figure out who it is you really are. And that really fits into this whole picture of trying to get yourself into, in line with, where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do this year? Who are you? Who's the true Libra? Who are you? In June, the Page of Cups comes up for you. And the Page of Cups is a part of you, a very, very, all my pages are very young parts of you. They're probably, the child around 4, 5, 6 years old. And that child in particular was very, very intuitive, very authentic. And this particular page, the Page of Cups, is the child that really, just wanted love, wanted to show their love, wanted to have love. And so this card is very powerful because I see that I call this card my love seeker, in that it just is, it's very much someone who is out to please, really, really out to please. And that's the little child in us. And unfortunately, when you have a child that, sometimes has been hurt in some way, it just becomes a little people pleaser because they're trying to get love. And this card is coming up for you because in your life right now, I think you're starting to look at, in what places and what areas of my life am I really hanging on to that love-seeking, people-pleasing part of me that is just seeking the love. And this could tie into everything with this job that you're thinking about, because there's no way that you could give up this job or do what you want to do, especially if you're into the people pleasing, because it's going to hurt some people, right? And so that's why this love seeker is coming up. So I think you need to listen to that part of you, that young child part of you, and what they want to say about this situation. The next card that comes up in July for the next part of the year is, the last part of the year, is the Devil. And the Devil's in reverse here. Now the Devil comes up when we need to look at some of our patterns that are very toxic in our life. And it could be addictions, and we all have addictions. I know I've had a few in my life and still have to keep an eye on them. And the other thing that we can be addicted to that people don't realize is people. Because the people pleasing maybe came up for you, if that is maybe one of yours, that where you just have this addiction to people. We can be addicted to jobs, we can be addicted to alcohol or drugs, or there's just so much out there, right? We can be addicted to our phone. And this card has come up in reverse. And the reason why it's come up in reverse is because when I see this card, the Devil card in reverse in particular, when it's upright, it's like, okay, here we need to look at our, our toxic behaviors. But when it's upright, it's like there's a real resistance to looking at our behaviors. And there's also it's also a card when it's in reverse that's kind of screaming at you and saying, you need to look at what's going on here. What sort of toxic behaviors are you involved in or with that you really need to take a look at in July, because they're not serving you. And maybe you need to go get some help for them, but they're not serving you. And so you need to really, continue to go inwards and continue to get in touch with yourself and find out, what are these behaviors, these toxic behaviors that I need to give up, that are not serving me anymore. And usually we know what they are. We just have a real big resistance to facing them or to giving them up. And in August, you get the Nine of Wands. And the Nine of Wands here, you're so close to the 10. It looks like you've been through a real battle here with, and it's a battle with the wands. And wands, the suit of wands, it always involves battle, because it really is, it's the spiritual side of us. It's the side that is fighting for ourselves and what we want to do and what direction we want to take our life into. And that's why it becomes a real battle. And so I'm seeing here in August that you're really in, you're worn out, you're tired, you have this bandage on your head, and you have this wall that you've almost set up behind you because you're tired of battling whatever it is, whatever you had to battle this first part of the year. It's really, you're really tired. And that explains maybe why you have some of these toxic behaviors that have come out for you, because it's sometimes when life gets really tough, and that's when our toxic behaviors come out, because sometimes we just need the support of something to get us through, right? So I'm seeing that you're really tired in the month of August. And yeah, so you need to take care of yourself and realize that you are in that space. I think in September. In September, the Fool comes out. And, the Fool comes out in any place during the reading. He is the number 0, and so he's not numbered. So that means, you can put him anywhere, because you can start anywhere. And that's what's really important here, is that you can start anywhere. And the Fool says, sometimes you just need to take that leap of faith and take the smallest little step. Because the smallest little step here for this Fool could mean that he could fall off the cliff. So it's going to be a real small step in the direction that you want to go into. And you need to have the faith that this time the universe has your back. And the universe does have your back when you're willing to take that small step for yourself. And I've noticed, in the first part of this year where it hasn't been about yourself, but you're starting to really struggle and realize that, Libra saying, I want this year to be for me. I want to do what I want to do. And so the Fool's here to say, go ahead, take that leap. The universe is on your side. And in October, you get the Sun. And the Sun card for me, now you have it in reverse, so let's turn it around. The Sun card is this joy for me, this childlike joy. And a lot of times, I know for me on my journey, and I've often been asked by my own life coach, what sort of things bring you joy in life? And if you've been through a lot, and you haven't, I'm looking at your nine of wands, and how it looks like it's going to be a year where you're really fighting for you, and at the end of the year you start to think, well, now, because a lot of times when we let things go, or we're moving in a new direction, and when we move into a new direction, we always usually have to let things go, and then there's sort of this emptiness that comes in. And you think, well, what am I going to fill that with, right? Because, here's the devil here that says, well, you can always fill it with another another distraction or another toxic behavior if you want. But this card is saying, no, I think you need to look at what brings you joy. And that is one of the hardest things to realize. What was it that brought me joy when I was younger? And what's going to bring me joy now? I don't know what I'm interested in. I don't know. So this is a month where you're really going to dive deep and dig into what brings you joy, because you really don't know. It's in reverse, but the joy is there. There's joy out there to be had, but sometimes it's a real journey just to find out what brings you joy in your life. And this is what this month is going to be about. And come November, you get the Eight of Swords. And this is the swords, first of all. Let's take a look at this. So the swords are anything to do with your mental activity. When you're all caught up in your head, and your swords are your belief systems, your patterns that you find yourself in life, where you just keep repeating the same patterns over and over again. Your conditionings, and that's, that goes back to the Hierophant in January, where what sort of conditionings, what have you been taught? What have you been told when you were younger and you believe it? And this is about, your authenticity. Swords are about your authenticity and your truth. And it looks like, I see that here too, that there's these puddles of water here, So water is all about emotions. So in no way and shape, form are your emotions here flowing. Emotions are meant to flow in, flow out, flow in and flow out. They're not supposed to get stuck. And what's happened in this card for the month of November, Libra, is that you're stuck in your head. You're back up in your head. You think you're trapped. You don't know what to do. You don't know which way to go. You maybe have taken that leap of faith. You've been asked to take that leap of faith earlier on. You just feel like you're tied up, but what you don't realize is you can get out, because you can walk away here. You can walk away from this situation. You're tied up in your head and you see no way out, but there is a way out. There is a way out. You just need to walk away. And the other thing you need to do to get out of your head is to ground back into your body and start to feel some of these emotions here that are stagnant, right? That are stuck. What is it here that you need to feel? Because it's through the feeling and the heal that it's going to heal you, right? There's this phrase out there that says that you need to feel in order to heal. And it's so true. The only way through all of this is to start to get back into your body, to get out of your head. Get this blindfold off of your head and start to see that if you go back into your body, you start to feel. And that is where you're going to start to heal. And that is what the Star card is all about. This particular individual here is very vulnerable, naked. And that is what it is you have to get really vulnerable with yourself, right? And, they have one foot in the water and one foot out. And I find that with the healing journey is you really do have to get one foot in, and then you're going to take one foot out, because sometimes it does get really tough. I think of things like, especially because your little love seeker card, your card came out way back here. The love seeker is really a younger part of us that when they heal, they really have to do a lot of grieving. They have to cry for the things that, hurt them when they were younger. And this is a month, December is going to be a real month for you of just healing, dipping your toe into those healing waters. And if it gets too tough, you pull it back out. You dip it. Somebody once told me, a therapist once said, you turn the faucet on a little bit and then you turn it off. Turn it on, maybe next time a little bit more, and then you turn it off. And kind of the same idea here, but the Star card is all about healing, so it's a beautiful way for you to end the year where you're going to do some real significant healing, and that's going to take you into, another pathway into your life, with the direction that you want to go to. So good luck this year, Libra. I wish you well. This is an amazing reading here for you, and you have a lot of growth. I see a lot of growth for you this year, Libra. So take care. Bye-bye.